The Ealing comedy, The Titfield Thunderbolt, is 70 years old in 2023. There you go, only just started and there's a fact. Today we're steaming through some facts and rumours about every railway person's favourite film. I've already made a video exploring the filming locations and finding out where all of the vehicles are today, which you should definitely check out. You should also watch the film itself if you haven't already. It's a love letter to community spirit, going above and beyond for a cause you believe in, and of course to the romance of steam. Let's start at the start. The Titfield Thunderbolt is based on the Talislyn Railway in Wales, the first preserved railway in the world, taken on by volunteers in 1951, who decided it was too nice to lose. Screenwriter T.E.B. Clarke visited the early preservationists, who recounted tales of their railway adventure thus far. This included a time when their one operable loco, Dolgoch, came up to fill with water, only to find the column was empty. Frantically, so as to prevent the boiler from exploding, the crew had to run back and forth to a stream, refilling the tanks with pots and pans borrowed from a nearby cottage. In the first year of the preserved line, there were also times when the passengers had to get out and push the coaches, as well as crews stopping to pick flowers and berries. Least to mention having one ancient engine having the fate of the entire railway relying on them. Being narrow gauge and having no turning facilities for their very sparse rolling stock, the TR was considered too small for production. But Dolgoch is in essence the real Titfield Thunderbolt, affectionately referred to as the Old Lady, and you can still visit her yourself.
3, 2, action. A duel! How very delightful!
Where they did choose to shoot the film was Monkton Combe in Somerset. Many locals were recruited as extras, and some even went on to work with Ealing Studios on other productions. Pearce and Crump's Bedford Bus was leased from a local garage owner in Winsley, and off-screen, this is how the cast and crew were transported between locations. Speaking of buses, passenger trains on the real Camerton branch, known as the Clank, were ironically never a success, and were replaced by a bus service. Despite being the most famous, the Titfield Thunderbolt wasn't the first production on the line. The Ghost Train was filmed here in 1931. And sequences from K+10 were recorded here in 1937.
We're running for him while we hold him up!
The main star Lion has also appeared in several other films, since being discovered in the Mersey docks. Just like Thunderbolt, it was in retirement, living its days as a pumping engine, but was brought out to ride the rails once more. To play the part as the fictional Titfield to Mallingford branch, the line was distorted several times for its appearance on the big screen. If you look closely, in other shots you can see cars and people in the background that director Charles Crichton probably didn't want there. Refilming steam trains in motion is not always convenient, especially when the British summer weather is so unpredictable. The nighttime shots were all filmed in the daytime too, because Technicolor equipment back then depended on perfect lighting conditions. These were edited in post-production. I'm not sure if it's an error that there's so many people running in the background of this shot, or perhaps a deleted scene where the villagers are hurrying off to the museum. I feel like we should also mention Dan's mysterious railway background. He becomes the fireman of the GWR 1400, formerly British Railways owned. He has an L&MR grease-top cap. He specifically mentions the LMS Royal Scot as a point of reference.
need the Royal Scot to move this lot.
and lives in a pre-grouping coach. If he happens to have been a plate layer with the Southern Railway, then this grouchy old man somehow encapsulates every railway era ever of UK steam. Monkton Combe was always a small through station with a passing loop. For filming, the crossing gates were removed and a farm shed placed on the other side of the road to simulate a terminus, but you can still see the line trailing off into the distance. A fake home signal and signal box were added, as well as a water tower just a little further west. On the topic of props, Dan's house is of course a set piece, fittingly for Lion based on the coaches from the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. A fake 1400 was built around a van to run off the turntable, into a field with some convenient tyre marks already running through the grass. Something to me suggests this wasn't the first take. An enlarged 1400 cab set was made in their London studio, and the crash scene was very clearly filmed with miniatures. 2 real 1400s were used, both dressed as 1401. They were facing different ways, so that they could film the train from whichever direction they pleased. Some rumour that the preserved 1450 is one of these engines. 1450 was dressed up as 1401 at the North Norfolk Railway for their event in tribute to the film. Wisbech and Upwell tramway car number 7, used as the buffet car, was not preserved, but sister car number 8 was, and now has its own Valentine's bar installed. At this point, I'd like to make a correction to the guide rail I made on the film, with thanks to traction engine enthusiast Jay Rivet. With such a topically relevant name as that, I fully believe what they say. I wrongly stated that the steamroller from the duel scene, Maid Marian, is now preserved at the Dover Transport Museum. In actuality, it actually appears that Aveling and Porter number 5590 is privately owned, and occasionally attends various transport rallies. Insane Edward also informed me that during the standoff, whilst it was mostly filmed on a blue screen, one take was filmed with road and rail vehicles colliding. This caused the boiler of Maid Marian to telescope inwards and need replacing. So, perhaps the scene was more true to life than it seemed. As it was filmed at the Dunkerton Colliery sidings, you can also see where the crew members put grass along the tracks to hide the other sidings and make it look like a through line. 2 film crews were used at once, one focusing on close-up scenes with the actors at the station, and the other capturing long shots up the line. Some of the actors did have a go at driving the engines. Apparently, Stanley Holloway was very capable at driving Lion, hopefully not under the influence of alcohol like Mr. Valentine. However, with up to 3 engines at once on a single track branch line, there were several real British Railway loco crews who got to feature. For long shots, they were dressed up as the characters. And of course, the Western Region crews at Mallingford, or Bristol Temple Meads, were more than happy to work alongside the film stars. One of those stars, of course, was Lion, already at 113 years old by the time the film was made, and 185 years old today. She was sent on a low wagon to Westbury Shed, where they found her in excellent condition and ready to play her role. However, coming straight from the pioneering days of railways, the engine struggled to raise steam and consumed a lot of coal and water because it was originally designed to burn coke, not coal. The firebox was fitted with a damper, so that when the sun came out, it was all ready and shining for the cameras. To help it get anywhere above 14 miles an hour, one of the 1400s occasionally banked from the back, and quickly braked to give Lion a boost before it entered the frame. A rumour goes around that the Liverpool Engineering Society never gave permission for Lion to be repainted green as part of her dressing as Thunderbolt. but the Railway magazine from 1953 does suggest otherwise. What is true is that Lion was slightly damaged during filming, and it's on camera too. When the villagers pushed the train back to the engine, the force of the people power actually bent the tender frames out of shape, which can still be seen today. When I took these very blurry photos years ago, I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I do wish that the engine had good compensation for having an accident at work. If so, then the paperwork may be a little difficult to fill out, because it's not actually known for certain if Lion is the original Lion of 1838. Historian Anthony Dawson has a great book and videos on his channel talking about this in greater detail. He believes it's possible that it's really another loco from around the same era, and that even if it is the original, it would not have looked as it's preserved now. Whether it is Lion or not, as the star of several films under its current guise, it is without a doubt a very iconic engine, and in its form today still resembles Thunderbolt. With Thunderbolt parked overnight at Limpley Stoke Station between film shoots, the old mill building here was used to screen the rushes before sending the reels by train off to London. The projector system needed power, and so they ran the electrical generators off of the old water wheel in the river, giving this temporary cinema the name Hydrodian. The film has been recreated several times with real locos, and with digital and miniature ones too, but the story doesn't end there. A few small drama groups have adapted the story for the stage, and somehow managed to represent the entire railway within a theatre. There's also a sequel of sorts. Thomas Young has published the fictional story of Thunderbolt's Last Run, which explains what happened after the credits had rolled and ties up some of the loose ends from the film. It's available in several places online, but most suitably at the bookshop The Titfield Thunderbolt. Located just north of Bath, this is open on Thursdays and does deliveries online from their website. Lastly, the big question: why is it called Titfield? Come on guys. T.E.B. Clark, or Tibby Clark, named it after two villages close to where he lived in Surrey, those being Titsey and Limpsfield. That's it. Tit for tat. If there are any other facts or rumours that you know about the film, then let me know in the comments. In its 70th year, it's nice to see people talking about it so fondly, and having new people watch it for the first time. Obviously also subscribe, so you don't miss my other videos on the Titfield Thunderbolt. A big thank you to all of my brilliant patrons: Alex Goodman, GBH Train, D0280 Falcon, Sean Tempest, Nat, Alco, Random Thomas Fan, Peter Davenport, Ego, Kildane's Coven, Insane Edward, and Dark White 73.